I'm not sure what possessed me, but I yelled, "Stop it!" The griffin froze. It turned towards me, cawing in irritation. A curtain of white fire raced away and burned in the corner of the room, almost like it was regrouping. Then I noticed other fires coming together, forming burning shapes that were vaguely human. One looked right at me, and I sensed an unmistakable aura of malice. "Carter, keep its attention!" Sadie apparently hadn't noticed the fiery shapes. Her eyes were still fixed on the griffin as she pulled a length of magic twine from her pocket. "If I can just get close enough—" "Sadie, wait!" I tried to process what was going on. Walt was flat on his back, shivering. His eyes were glowing white, as if the fire had gotten inside of him. Jazz knelt over him, muttering a healing spell. "Rah!" The griffin croaked plaintively as if asking permission, as if it were obeying my order to stop, but it didn't like it. The fiery shapes were getting brighter, more solid. I counted 7 blazing figures, slowly forming arms and legs. 7 figures. Jazz had said something about the symbols of Sekhmet. Dread settled over me as I realized what kind of curse was really protecting the museum. The griffin's release had just been accidental. It wasn't the real problem. Sadie threw her twine. "Wait!" I yelled, but it was too late. The magic twine whipped through the air, elongating into a rope as it raced towards the griffin. The griffin squawked indignantly and leapt after the fiery shapes. The fire creatures scattered, and a game of total annihilation tag was on. The griffin buzzed around the room, its wings humming. Display cases shattered. Mortal alarms blared. I yelled at the griffin to stop, but this time it did no good. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jazz collapse, maybe from the strain of her healing spell. "Sadie!" I yelled. "Help her!" Sadie ran to Jazz's side. I chased the griffin. I probably looked like a total fool in my black pajamas with my glowing sword, tripping over broken artifacts and screaming orders at a giant hummingbird cat. Just then, I thought things couldn't get any worse. Half a dozen party guests came around the corner to see what the noise was about. Their mouths fell open. A lady in a peach-colored dress screamed. The 7 white fire creatures shot through the wedding guests, who instantly collapsed. The fires kept going, whipping around the corner towards the ballroom. The griffin flew after them. I glanced back at Sadie, who was kneeling over Jazz and Walt. "How are they?" "Walt is coming around," she said, "but Jazz is out cold." "Follow me when you can. I think I can control the griffin." "Carter, are you mad? Our friends are hurt, and I've got a flaming scroll stuck to my hand." "The window's open. Help me get Jazz and Walt out of here." She had a point. This might be our only chance to get our friends out alive. But I also knew that those 7 fires were now, and I knew that if I didn't go after them, a lot of innocent people were going to get hurt. I muttered an Egyptian curse, the cussing kind, not the magic kind, and ran to join the wedding party. The main ballroom was in chaos. Guests were running everywhere, screaming and knocking over tables. A guy in a tuxedo had fallen into the wedding cake and was crawling around with the plastic bride and groom decoration stuck to his rear. A musician was trying to run away with a snare drum on his foot. The white flames had solidified enough so I could make out their forms. Somewhere between canine and human, with elongated arms and crooked legs. They glowed like superheated gas as they raced through the ballroom, circling the pillars that surrounded the dance floor. One passed straight through a bridesmaid. The lady's eyes turned milky white, and she crumbled to the floor, shivering and coughing. I felt like curling into a ball myself. I didn't know any spells that could fight these things, and if one of them touched me... Suddenly the griffin swooped down out of nowhere, followed closely by Sadie's magic rope, which was still trying to bind it. The griffin snapped up one of the fire creatures in a single gulp and kept flying. Wisps of smoke came out of its nostrils, but otherwise, eating the white fire did not seem to bother it. "Hey!" I yelled. Too late, I realized my mistake. The griffin turned towards me, which slowed it down just enough for Sadie's magical rope to wrap around its back legs. "Rawr!" The griffin crashed into a buffet table. The rope grew longer. winding around the monster's body while its high-speed wings shredded a table, the floor, and plates of sandwiches like an out-of-control wood chipper.